This is the 4th week in a row I've been able to work on the truck. This is nuts. In this week's installment of my ADHD, we're going to be working on something completely different than I had planned on. Actually, it's a little beyond my control. The block-off plate and the fresh air block-off plate are still at the body shop. I know how it goes. Like I've said, my first job was actually at a body shop, and I know how chaotic it can be. So hopeful this week. They got the paint matched, which is good. So hopefully they'll have those parts back this week, barring any. We got this crazy weather going on right now. It's 65 degrees outside, and we got like 40 miles an hour winds out of the south. And 2 days ago on Thursday, we had 13 inches of snow, and it was 8 degrees. So the Midwest, it's weird. But anyway, today's plan of attack. I'm going to put the condenser on and see if we can't figure out the transcooler situation. The problem I'm having is that bolt and that bolt, or that hole, those two holes that I need to drill, are behind this grill. And my right angle attachment and my stubby bits are not short enough to make that happen. So I think for the sake of just getting it done, I'm going to go ahead and pop the grill off today. It's only got a couple bolts that hold it on, so we'll be able to take that whole shell off of there, pop those two holes in, get everything put on there. So that's the plan there. I also need to torque down all of my bolts for my mount, go through all that, and probably start working on some wiring. Like I said in the previous video, I am actually switching to a 3-relay setup for my fan and doing a little bit of rewiring on some stuff. I have a fuse block back here that when I originally built the truck, it's a 100 amp bus. It's got a 100 amp breaker on the bottom of the battery tray, which is not here. Feeds this, which feeds the headlight circuit. I've got relays over on that side for the high-low. Feeds the fuel pump, fan 1 and fan 2. So the problem I was having was when the fans would kick on, my fuel pump would kind of, like you could feel the surge there that it was having. It had a current inrush going to these fans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the fuel pump out of the loop, and I've got a 30 amp breaker that I'm going to put it on, a self-resetting breaker. So that'll mount to the bottom of the battery tray as well. So I'll take that. I'll have that on its own circuit. And then I'm going to add a third relay in here. So we got fan 1, fan 2, fuel pump, and then I'm going to have the third relay for the fans going to go over there, which will take the fans in and out of series, depending on what the computer's calling for. It's exactly how an F-body's set up. So I'll go through that once we get closer to that, how that's wired, how that's set up. So, yeah, and torquing down all the bolts on that. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but I need to do that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So today I'm just going to kind of get busy and do some little stuff to get to the end, and then hopefully we'll get these plates back so we can finish out the interior, and we'll be good to go back on the road, hopefully in time for first cruise. We're getting close. March is not that far off now, and that's when they start around here. So hopefully, depending on the weather. Our weather's crazy. It's supposed to snow again tomorrow and Wednesday. And so 65 today, it's supposed to snow tomorrow. It's supposed to be like 60 on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, snow a bunch. So I don't know. The Midwest, it's weird. All right, so it's just one of those days where the truck just didn't want to be taken apart. I know I'm taking this apart incorrectly, but the grill, getting that thing out of there, it has 6 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 3 on each side. What I did was I kind of rocked it out and then picked it up, and it came out. It doesn't like to come off without the bumper, but I didn't want to take the bumper off. So I took the headlights out, and it came out. But anyway, enough complaining. I've got the condenser in. It fits really good. Use the stock mounting holes here, and that one's covered up. But I need to slot the hole right here. You can see that I'm off by that much, so not much. That's in the vintage air bracket. So I'm going to slot that hole just ever so slightly to get that so I don't bind this thing up, because I can jam it in there, but it kind of pulls the condenser kind of the top this way and the bottom stays put, and I don't want to put it in any binds. Next up, this dang transcooler. When I mounted this thing, when I first built the truck, I just kind of, I don't know if I arbitrarily figured out where it was, if there was some sort of set dimension. It's hanging roughly where it was. Well, it's this way it is, but this way it's not. There are several ways I can do this, and as I think through this, I'm thinking what I'm going to do is This bracket here and this bracket here need to be shaved down about 1/4 inch, because you can kind of see there's a lip on this vintage air bracket that holds the condenser in. It sits up above the core support. When I originally designed and built these brackets, I had them sitting hard on the core support, so we're about 1/4 inch up. So I'm going to shave 1/4 inch off the bottom of both of those. And then what I'm trying to figure out here is, how do I want to deal with mounting this? Because where it's hanging right now doesn't line up with the vintage air bracket. So you can kind of see there's a dark line right there. That's about 7/16, 3/8 off from where I need to be. So what I'm thinking about doing here is either mounting it back to where it was and making a special bracket for down here, sliding it over a little bit and putting more holes in the core support, which is not really, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's not really my favorite idea. Another option would be to mount it with the 3 holes and then leave that bracket off down there, because it's got a rigid top to bottom one here and then that there, and this is a thick Durali, or however you pronounce that, transcooler. Only thing I'd be is afraid of that flexing down there, which it probably won't. I do need to set it off proud of, so I got to put some spacers in here. You can see it's not sitting all the way back. There you go. I need to put spacers in because it actually contacts the condenser, so I need to space it out a little bit, which will require redoing this angle here, because this, you can actually see that mark right there, and there's a corresponding one here. The hood. I slammed it one time and it made contact. So I need to shave those down a little bit anyway, especially now that if I'm going to bring it out. That's no big deal. Just put just a bigger chamfer on there. Just mow that sucker down. But yeah, just trying to figure out how to make this work the best that I can make it work. My primary fan is this one right now, but it's going to be both of them. So what I had it set up so that when the fan came on, it was drawing air through this side. Now it's going to be the whole thing at half speed. And then so I think it's going to be set up as 1 and 2 just because of the way the relays are. I like the relays to match the locations. I know it's silly, but so this will be 1, this will be 2. So technically low, technically high, even though they'll both be on at low and then they'll both be on at high. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to deal with this. I've just got a lot of crowding, a lot of traffic happening down here in this corner, and I really don't want to drill more holes. So I don't know. For now, I'm going to go ahead and start working on this side, get the dryer hung. I can't run into the lines yet because I'm still working on the wiring behind here. And then also while I was staring at the wiring, I realized that the 3 relays here and the 2 relays here, so these 3, I have the power wires, the battery and the load wires switched in the relay, which is not bad. It's not how it's supposed to be. And on these, I have and this really doesn't matter, but I have the ground and the positive trigger wires flipped in the relay. I'm not quite sure how I did them different. The triggers are right on this side, and the load and the battery are right on this side. So I don't know what happened. That was a long time ago. So these I'm going to leave alone because these are hella relays. They just have a resistor in them. Where you get into trouble is if you have a diode in there. Because I'll get into detail about it, but there's a flyback circuit in there that protects against, because when you unload the relay, it unloads the magnetic field and causes a current in there, and it's basically to protect your switches and whatnot. These have a resistor, so it doesn't matter. It's going to work. Resistors are bidirectional. But anyway, technical babble. These here, I'm going to... Well, again, I'll explain all of this. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But just looking at them just a few minutes ago, I was like, oh, man, I don't know what I was thinking there. But easy to fix. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. I'm going to go ahead and get this going. I'm going to let that simmer for a while and figure out what I want to do with that, because I don't have any hardware for it anyway. Because I got to go through 2 things and get spacers. And so I'll have to go to the hardware store. Anyway, back to it. Enough rambling. Anyway, keep going. Let's do it. Today has been one of those days where literally everything fights you. No matter what you mess with, it just feels like it's just not going to work right. So after I kind of got my breath, I was going to go ahead and torque all the bolts down on the compressor mount. So I'm doing it. And one of the bolts that bolts into the head is a bevel head. It's a flathead socket key, like an Allen key or whatever. Torquing that thing down, and what does it do? It strips. I mean, it's stripped all the way down in there. I don't know what happened. They're only 28 foot-pounds. Thankfully, it did it right when I started torquing it. So I was able to get it back out, but that was one of those. So I got everything else is torqued except for that one. Yeah, so I was like, okay, we'll finish that. I went back to this. I just couldn't leave it alone. So what I think I've come up with here is this is mounted in the place where it was before, the mounting holes that it was before. I went ahead and cut the bottom of the brackets off on the bandsaw. So they're shorter now, which kind of created some more problems. But I'm thinking this might work. So right now I have it sitting in here. This is some 1/8 inch thick rubber that I use for work. I'm thinking about cutting these and putting them back here so it'll fit flush with the top and the sides. It'll sit back there and space it out. Because I have to space it out anyway because the way that this condenser sits in here, these two touch. So if I space it out 1/8 inch on the top and I have two of them at the bottom, so 1/4 inch at the bottom, flays it out. This condenser actually kind of sits tilted, kind of like the radiator, tilts back just a little bit. So I have it out at the bottom. The condenser actually is a little bit tacoed, like this. So this here, I could just touch it. It was rattling on the bracket here. So I'm going to probably, when I make this side, I'm going to make it kind of an L. So it'll come across and then it'll go down. So that it'll have a tiny little piece down here just between this and this, just to keep them from touching each other. I don't really want to shim this out anymore to alleviate that because it's going to stick out. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. So that's the top. Now the bottom half works out decently. The holes are very, very, very close to the bottom of my bracket here. There is a bent lip on the bottom here of the condenser bracket, and that is right at it. So same thing over here. But this one over here, that pencil line, it's going to focus on my hand, that pencil line on there is actually the center line of the hole, the bolt head, of the bolt that's holding the bottom of this in, just like that there. So I could either pop a hole next to it, since I'm going to be shimmed out, or pop a hole in there to run one bolt all the way through. I still haven't determined what I'm going to do. I still haven't determined if I actually need this. This thing is stout. I mean, it's bolted in right now, just the top bolts. It's not going anywhere. So it may not need that one down there at all anyway. So I'm wondering, I don't know. It would bug me that there wasn't anything down there. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided. So this one here, what I think I'm going to do is possibly slot the hole up ever so slightly so that I can actually get a bolt in down here. I could put a button head in there, which maybe I'll do. I could put a button head in there and it'll clear. I don't know, like maybe a machine screw or a button, like a true button head. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe change them all out to that. But I need to go home now because I've run out of time. So this thing, I've been up here for about 2 hours farting around with this. Haven't really got much done, but that's kind of how it goes, where you just like one thing affects this, and you're going to think about that, and then you're going to think about, well, this does this and this and this. I'm getting closer, so I think I've got this all lined out. I haven't done any of the stuff over here because it requires the lines going that way, so I want to get my wiring done, which is all right back behind here first. So I think next time I'm going to work on finishing this up, getting my wiring done, and then I can start working on the rest of it. I can't do much with the inside without those plates or the lines, so I'm just trying to kind of tidy up the core support here, kind of get the wiring, get everything on this thing done. So yes, it does seem like it's taking forever. I'm entering 4th week of putting this on, but I've only been doing it an hour at a time. So with kids and family and business and work, and it's just, I don't have a whole lot of free time. So a little bit here, a little bit there. It's kind of the real world, kind of how it really works. It's not like on TV where it just happens. I wish it would. I'm sure the guys that put this stuff in all the time, this is cake for them. This bam, 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 put it in. But I know what I'm doing, quotes, but I'm not seasoned at it, so I'm not efficient at it. So it just takes a little bit longer. But we're getting there. I'm excited. I'm kind of bummed now that you can't see that sweet. All you can see is a tiny little sliver of gray aluminum radiator behind the grill, but that's okay. Yeah, so that's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and clean up and get out of here. And then I'm going to fry around with this thing some more this week, the bracket, get the thing all sanded back out, put some more chamfers and bevels on it to kind of smooth it out and shoot another coat of paint on it. Trying to think of anything else. I know I've been rambling a lot. It's just one of those frustrating days where things just don't seem to want to work. But, I mean, progress was made, but we're getting there. So, anyway, please like and subscribe if you'd like to. I think we just hit 3,700 subscribers, which is amazing. I'd love to keep going. So, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It means a lot. Contact me or drop comments below. What I'm doing wrong, what do you like, what do you don't like, suggestions, all that. Just don't drop any comments about how slow I'm going. I know that. It's a curse. I think about everything too much. I overthink everything. So, yeah, that's it. I'm going to get out of here today. So, it's 65 degrees outside, so I'm going to get outside and go play with the kids. Enjoy this weather before the snow comes in tomorrow. So, anyway, appreciate everybody watching. We will catch you next time.